My new video series, Who Does Bro Think He Is? A regularly scheduled TV program or something? So as the title states, on my channel in the coming months, I'll be adding some new ideas that are a part of a video series that I wanted to make for a while now. That being, is dating worth it? The new video series will be around the topic, is dating worth it? I haven't made any videos on this topic despite adding it as a stat in the game of life in 2024, simply because other video ideas took priority, and I've been busy in my own personal life completing my other quests, a huge one of which is now done. I have completed my postgraduate studies, and I am closing in on getting my home loan sorted as well. Everything's coming up Millhouse. So with these two huge tasks ticked off, well, there's extra stuff involved with a home loan, obviously, and I need the construction part of it sorted, but the primary roadblock has been conquered. So now, this frees me up to consistently talk about a crucial aspect of many young men's lives, which is dating. Now, the reason this will be a video series is because I have so much to talk about on this topic. Each video will center around a different specific topic. If I made a single video on my thoughts on dating, I'd never finish it, since I'd have that much to say and that much to add. Now, as part of the game of life, you have to consider aspects like your career, money, investing, housing, your health. It's unavoidable. But so is dating, at least the idea of it, and your surroundings, social media, etc. The topic will always show up in one way or another. Now, this topic is super interesting since everyone has an opinion on this, and there are no real experts on this topic, as I mentioned in my video on the new stat in the game of life, which basically referred to dating. Whereas topics like fitness, there is some subjectivity to it, but there are often some hard-coded facts like you need a good amount of protein in your diet. The number is debatable, but everyone knows you need a high protein diet to grow. With your career, in the white-collar world anyway, you need a good resume to be selected for an interview. What a good resume looks like is debatable, but everyone knows you can't have a terribly formatted resume and no experience or education. That's not up for debate. With dating, however, I'd say almost everything involved is up for debate. Some will say, oh, you have to be nice to your partner. Well, I've seen plenty of evidence to the contrary. I've seen girls always go for the bad boys. So therefore, the be nice argument has a counter-argument, whereas there is no counter-arguments to points like high protein diet for gym and good resume for career. Some say you need to spend a lot of time with your partner. Some say you need to give them time and space. Fellas, if she wants some time and space, that's not your girl, that's Galactic Boss Cyrus. If you get that reference, let me know in the comments and let me know what your favorite Sinnoh starter was. Mine is Turtwig. So this Is Dating Worth It video series will be super interesting since there will be a wide range of opinions and an even wider range of video ideas. I'll let you in on some future ideas. None of the following videos have even started yet. I've only briefly given them some thought over the months. So some video ideas for this series include: I'm single at 28 years old. Is it my fault? Are single men in their 30s bad catchers? Should you care about your partner's body count? Should you keep side hoes around when in a relationship? Women's unrealistic standards. Why do so many women date such low-quality men? Why do women with small tits reject short guys? They have just as much growth hormone in their bodies as you do. That is to say, not much at all. Should you consider dating single mums? Should you consider dating a girl with a promiscuous past? Sleeping around before finding your lifelong partner. Why this idea is pretty dumb, but also kind of smart. Dating someone who slept with your friends. Is this a bad idea? Should you lock in or focus on dating in your 20s? The financial risks associated with a relationship. Now, I don't know if all of those video ideas will turn into videos, especially the small tits short guys one. Chances are it'd be a side tangent in some video I make. Like, I am sick to death of the slander towards short kings. They can't escape it. If you saw my 2023 checkpoint video, near the end, I mentioned a video idea I had in mind, and it was about the slander towards the short kings. Well, I still haven't made that video since it'd be long as fuck, And I have other videos I want to make in the meantime, but I have a lot to say on this topic. If you're wondering what my height is, I've mentioned it somewhere on this channel before. I've also replied to a comment once asking what it was. If you care enough, go for a troll through my channel, but it's not relevant to my opinion either way on this topic. If I was a short king, then I'd just be butthurt. If I was tall, then I wouldn't be able to relate to the struggles and therefore have no dog in this fight. But regardless, I will talk about it at some point. Whether it's going to be its own video or if some of my thoughts will be sprinkled in somewhere, I don't know, but it is coming. Either way, you can see I've got a lot of ideas, and there are going to be even more since these ideas kind of just pop into my head randomly whenever I'm driving or daydreaming at my wagey job. I think this will be even more interesting seeing as though these ideas are coming from me. What do I mean by this? Does bro think he's more important and interesting than everyone else? Well, I mean, heaps of people think they're interesting these days, don't they? Just look at all the podcasts that have been started. But the reason I think my perspective is, I suppose, more interesting than others is I come at this topic from a very unusual standpoint. Here's what I mean. I'm not a Chad. At least, I don't believe so. I have seen some people on the internet say, so-and-so is a 10, when they would very clearly not be a 10 where I'm from, or so-and-so is a Giga Chad, or so-and-so is so hot, when they would not be labelled as such where I'm from. I have heard of the term Chadstralia before, and I never really understood why. Maybe Chad Bondi Beach or Chad Gold Coast, but not Chadstralia as a whole. However, seeing these standards in other countries, then yeah, I'm most definitely in Chadstralia, which I do not qualify for Chad status here. However, I could if I was overseas. So I was going to make this into a separate video, something like what quantifies a 10, but I'll briefly go on a side tangent here so you guys know what I mean. And in fact, I labeled the title of this video as such. The title of the video is something along the lines of, Am I a Chad plus my new video series Is Dating Worth It? I don't know if that's a title I'll go with at this point, but it'll be something like that. So the following segment I'm about to mention refers to that Am I a Chad thing. So either way, check these clips out.
They work out. I'm not saying they'll put any effort into it. And girls just throw themselves at these guys. And they go, well, I don't get it. Well, like, not to pick on him because I think he knows. I think he's way more street smarts. But I think he feigns a little bit of innocence. Would be Chris Williamson. The guy is a fucking model. The guy is a 10.
Yes! We beat Running Bud, baby! Oh. Yes! Let's go, baby!
God, he's so fucking hot.
It's over!
Jesus
it's over!
Christ.
It's over!
Now, Chris Williamson is definitely not ugly, but he's not a 10. I suppose if you lump in shit like money and fame, then yeah, but then you'd have money maxed or wealth maxed people who are going to be 10s, despite the fact they all look like shit. That's not what is often referred to as a 10. It's usually primarily just looks. Again, he's not ugly at all, he is good looking, but he is not a 10. As for the Twitch streamer, again, certainly not ugly, good looking bloke, but this doesn't quantify as so fucking hot here in Australia. Okay then, gamification of hater, what does quantify as a hot guy or a 10 in Australia then? I've got two examples for you. Exhibit A, Bailey Smith. This guy is an AFL player. AFL is the main sport in my state of Victoria, Australia. We have a specific set of rules we have for our version of football or footy that we play here in Australia. AFL is on the level of NFL in the States or the Premier League in England. It's like the main sport in these areas, at least that's what I've seen. The point is, he's well known, but not necessarily for his sporting skills, more so his looks. Check out this clip.
Hit Optus Stadium, Max Gawn was king. Then when the dogs emerged, it was Bailey Smith who got the rock star treatment.
You literally have women with giant fucking signs at a training session begging him to respond to her DMs. Damn, he must have taken Hamza's Adonis school course on how to get women. That's a joke, obviously. No amount of Adonis maxing will get you this attention. You need to genetics max or parents max to get this type of attention. Oh, but he's just a sports star. Any sports player gets this attention. Well, then why weren't there posters for the other players then? Exactly, because they aren't as pretty as he is. To add insult to injury, he's also ripped as fuck and tall. And he also has money. Sponsors throw money at this guy since he has eyeballs on him. He has more followers on Instagram than other professional sports players who are much better than he is. And with the sponsorship thing, there was a time where he's sponsored by Cotton On, which is a clothing brand here in Australia. And one of the main roads into the city of Melbourne, there's like this giant billboard you see when you come out of some tunnel. And at one point, it was him in his Cotton On underwear because he was like sponsored by Cotton On or something. So at some point, this guy was the first face you see when you go into Melbourne, one of the biggest cities in Australia. So, fair to say, people like the way he looks. So this is an example of a 10 here in Australia. The funny part is, if you go to any beach, you'd probably run into a guy that looks kind of similar. Maybe not as hot or ripped, but close enough. Admittedly, there aren't many, but it's not exactly a rare sighting either. I don't go to the beach that often, but when I do, there's always some surfer-looking dude like this at the beach. This is a 10 here in Australia. Exhibit B, Ben Batchelor, not a professional sports player, but he's more so the influencer type. Pretty self-explanatory, good face, tall, good body. Nothing more to add. This is a 10 in Australia. I may make a video in the future on the standards around the world and whatnot, but I figured I'd mention this in this video, so you guys know what I mean when I say I'm not a Chad. I am not on the level of these guys, but depending on your standards around the globe, I could be considered Chad. I don't know, depends on your definition of Chad. My definition of Chad, such as Bailey or Ben, means I am not a Chad. But if your definition of Chad is the examples mentioned earlier, then yeah, maybe I am. So back to the point, my perspective being interesting. So I am not a Chad, perhaps I am Chad light based on interactions with women in the past. So it's not like it's extremely easy for me to get women, but on the other hand, it's not some monumental struggle either. If you had a Chad voicing his opinions, he wouldn't get it, since it's easy for him. If you had an incel voicing his opinions, they'd just be dismissed as him being bitter and angry. Now, as for height, I said earlier in the video I wasn't going to mention it, but I think I do actually need to mention it for the sake of you understanding my viewpoint. So for height, I am 182 centimeters tall. So this is tall enough to not really be discriminated against due to my height, but it's not tall enough to have women attracted to my genetic bone structure either. You see all those mid-chicks posting TikToks wanting guys who are 6'2", which is not me. And it's funny because if you were a 6'2" plus guy, why would you want these mid-ass bitches? You wouldn't. I've actually been called shorter than I thought and you're kind of short before too. Both of which being from taller chicks, but I was still taller than they were. It's funny though because I had a bigger chest than both of them. Shut up, little boy. How come all of that growth hormone went into your bones, but none of it went into your breast tissue? Stop skipping chest day in the gym. It's amazing how they were talking shit because I could have sworn they already got everything off of their chests.
Well, you know, I normally need the 7 Chaos Emeralds to turn supersonic, but maybe if I'm a douchebag, if I just grope your boobs, that'll work too.
Why don't you grow my boobs? Because you have teeth like a sparrow.
I'm gonna say Vlad, but does it have a name?
I hate Democrats. I hate boomers. Women need bigger tits.
Yeah.
So again, not a short king here who has no luck with women since women are shallow, but not tall enough to the point where women will just flock towards me either. I have money, so I'm not broke, but I also don't have I'll take my private jet on a spontaneous holiday to Dubai whenever I want money either. So I consider myself well off thanks to my hard work and smart decisions over the years, but I don't have some lucrative tech job, nor was I born into a rich family either. My bloodline is actually quite poor. So if you had a broke guy voicing his opinions, chances are they'd be negative. If you had a rich guy voicing his opinions, well, then he's just out of touch with the rest of us. I'm currently single. I don't know why I said currently, I could have just said single, Not like that status will change anytime soon. And I also don't date around/hoe around either, which I believe is a unique point of view when it comes to dating opinions voiced on YouTube. Usually, they come from either someone already in a relationship, a bitter incel, or some red pill man whore trying to sell his pickup line courses for only $399. My body is well above average. Currently, I'm a lot fatter than I usually am, but I'm coming off a solid bulk. I'll probably be shredded by early February 2025. So, fit enough to get some stares from girls at the gym. Sometimes, maybe.
Yugi, you may have beaten me, but I'll have my revenge in the movie, probably. Maybe. Good luck with that, you skinny bastard.
My hair is quite the mess, but considering I'm 28 years young, you'd prefer a nest head of hair like mine as opposed to having a really receding hairline or really thinning hair like many people around this age. I don't drink alcohol, obviously I drink water, or play video games, besides the game of life. Gamification of life, after all. My hobbies are basically gym, stocks, and YouTube. I do go out with friends from time to time, but it's not super often. This part was kind of pointless though, since in my personal life, barely anyone knows about the stocks and YouTube thing. The gym thing is pretty obvious, but you can make a gauge on if stock trading or YouTube has any impact on the dating market, since the girls don't know about it. I'm also not on any dating apps. Your boy has been locked in for the past 4 years, which will form a part of one of the videos in this series. But thanks to my wagey job and small local gym, a lot of women do know about me, so it's not like I'm locked away to the world either. All of these points form a unique perspective on the question of, is dating worth it? I have many thoughts on this topic, and given my somewhat unusual mix of traits, I think you'll find my opinions informative and interesting. I'm not in a relationship, so I won't have some whipped pussy-ass bitch point of view on dating, but I'm not a total social recluse incel either. I am admittedly somewhat jaded due to my experiences and what I've seen from the dating scene, but I am also able to have a more rational thought process when it comes to this market. If I can analyze the stock market, I can analyze the dating market. My main focus is on myself and my stats in the game of life, not women, so I have a more outside view on the whole dating market since I'm not even involved in it. Everything I've mentioned about myself provides me with an interesting perspective that I think will be of value to all of you watching. Speaking of, thanks for doing so. Thanks for watching. That is all.